You're going to want to listen to today's episode if you feel like your content isn't hitting. This is a hot seat call from my online trainer mentorship with Steven. Steven's actually doing a really good job producing videos, but they're not quite connecting because he's trying to do too much with it. So what we do in this is we break down a process for him to pull out the actual story, for him to pull out the actual message in his content itself and have a lot more impact with it. A lot of the time, it's not that we're not doing enough with what we're producing. It's actually that we're doing too much. So have a listen. I think that you'll enjoy this. And at the end, I'll be back to recommend another episode for you. Hope you're all good. So, Stephen, we're going to go first here. You've seen some of these before, I'm pretty sure. If you can really quick, just for everybody, say kind of who you are, who you work with, and what you want to talk about today, what you want to go over today, and then we'll jump right into it.
Sure. So I'm Steven. I work with people over 30 that are in pain, people that tend to be pretty frustrated with the type of treatment they've gotten in the past, be it through their family doctor or through a chiro or physio or anything like that. Mostly people that are tired with Band-Aid solutions and maybe looking for a different way to go about things. And my own modality is that rehab and strength training isn't very different. It's really it's strength training just done in a very particular way and starting from a particular point. But that's really the gist of who I work with. In terms of what I want to talk about today is I feel like I don't have reliable lead generation is the short way of putting it, in the sense that most of my business tends to come from referrals and word of mouth. For the most part, like DMing, my conversion rate seems to be super low. Like I have to DM a lot of people to get to the call booking stage and then so on and so forth. Just even like this entire year, I could probably count on one hand how many people I've actually signed on from DMs specifically. So I feel like there's something missing in what I'm doing. Whether it's maybe a messaging thing or maybe not quite specializing enough, or I'm not quite sure where there's something falling through the cracks there, but just finding a system of reliable lead generation.
Okay. This collab post that you did with Ashley was really cool. How did that
That's
feel?
part of what I was trying to do. Yeah, felt awesome. And that's part of where I've been trying to network and get myself out there, let more people know what I do. So that's been part of that strategy lately, that I've been trying to collab with a lot of different OTM coaches. I've probably collabed with like 4 or 5 of them now at this point.
So you guys can see the screen. You guys can see this post.
It was a lot of fun to make, probably more so on Ashley's end, but it was still a lot of fun.
But what I loved so much about it is it so clearly shows the benefits and the reasons for doing what you do. Compare that with a video called The Frustration of Manual Therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I wonder, with your existing clients, can you give me an example of somebody else who like this, the 3 moves for moms who want to tackle tantrums? Like it's like pretty good title. And I'm looking to the side because I've got you up on the other side. I'm using 2 screens. But do you have a client who you can think of right now? You can use a fake name or whatever it is, but I want a real client that you can think of where they were able to do something in their life that they weren't able to do previously, or they used to be able to do something or an activity that they loved that they had to stop that they can now do again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can think of a few good examples. One was it's actually at the very top of it's one of my pinned posts. This client, she started working with me in her 60s. She dealt with 10 years of back pain, essentially, where she was bedridden at times, relying on pain meds just to get up some days. And now she's able to carry her groceries. She goes on walks with her husband. She's the one actually carrying some of the heavy stuff when they go to Costco and stuff like that. And she actually really enjoys weight training now. And I still work with her to this day. And she loves deadlifts and squats. She does all this heavy stuff. And she's in her 60s and she's in less pain now than she's ever been in before. And she's stronger to boot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's cool. I mean, I always love those messages, and I don't think that you need a lot of them. But your kind of ideal client is pretty open ended, right? Like basically
Yeah, that's
help
part
people
of
over 30 ditch aches and pains. It
yeah, that's what I was wondering too, if it's almost too like being a pain generalist is part of my issue where it's not quite speaking to specific issues. Like I've had a lot of success in content when I'm like, okay, this week I'm just focusing on back pain, for example. And I
yeah.
talk to specific things about that because I dealt with back pain and that's how I got into doing what I do. So I would say if I'm knowledgeable about anything, it's
What's
definitely
that
about back
story?
pain.
What's that story?
Oh, I had a really bad disc herniation in my early 20s, made me
Okay.
feel like I was about 80. And I was told just, hey, just don't lift anymore. Just don't bend down to do anything. And I'm like, well, I'm like 20 years old. I'm going to need to lift things again in my life.
Right.
Like there's got to be a better way to go about this. And so I got into like strength training, did my research on pain and how it works and how we can actually get our body to adapt. And now I'm a competitive power lifter, a runner, and never felt stronger in my 30s compared to 10 years ago when I could barely move.
So why isn't that much bigger? I mean, I could see it on slide 3 of the who I am I as one of the bullet points. But why isn't that story told more prominently? I mean, even with a headline like the doctor told me never to lift anything ever again. I was 20 years old. Like, and then you just that's literally the headline, and then you do in a power lift. Um, this is one of these situations where I don't know what the answer is, but I could give you a process of starting to figure it out because I don't know what you specialize in, Willie, from seeing this. You say that you get people out of pain, but like, what does that mean, Willie? Everybody's in some sort of pain, and most pain people either have lived to live with, or have grown to live with, or have given up on, or they've been told that somebody can fix it before and they haven't. There's this problem in the 22 laws of marketing, 22 mutable laws of marketing by Jack Rise and Al Trout, one of the sort of biggest, one of the most notable probably marketing books that's been put out. One of the laws is called the law of candor. And basically what it says, what it states is that if you say a positive, you're forced to prove it. But if you state a negative, people immediately believe you and they open up your mind to you. And so for you, I always think this kind of thing is interesting. You're strong as all hell and you've overcome a lot, but you're not a bodybuilder. You know, you're not going to sit there with your shirt off on Instagram. And so some people would view that, for example, as a negative, right? You're a trainer who can lift a lot of weight and do a lot of really impressive things, but you're not sitting there showing off shredded abs. There could be, you know, when you say things like I can help you get out of pain, I can help you get stronger, you're forced to back it up. When you admit something that is commonly perceived as a negative, people immediately open up their mind to you in ways that they wouldn't. And then you have an opportunity to speak to them in ways that you wouldn't otherwise. Like, yeah, but look what I can do now. Like, yeah, I don't have shredded abs, but my doctor told me I couldn't lift anything when I was 20. Here's me squatting. Right. In terms of the specific pain, though, so in terms of like your bio and that, I would almost like call that out. Um, I would almost call that out. Like, I'm actually thinking of calling out in my bio on Instagram as like, I'm shitty at video, so my videos are going to be terrible. But I write well. So if you like writing, or if you like reading, you'll like it here. Um, I think in a bio that's valuable. The process for figuring out, though, what people respond to, specificity is very important. Nobody wakes up and says, I really want somebody to help me with my pain today. They say, holy fuck, my back hurts. Or, man, this thing in my knee just won't go away. Or even more specifically, like, I have a whatever impingement. Doctor says it's a rotator cuff, but nobody can see it in any scans. Which, whatever, that type of thing is pretty common. I think it makes sense for you to focus on, call it the 3 or 4 different like main aspects of pain, and produce a video on it. Cut out 15 seconds of that video, put that on Instagram and say, message me if you want the full video. And what that, you might not get messages to some of it, but what that'll show you is, hey, you know, this one thing got an outsized response, right? And I don't know what the answer to that is going to be with you, but it's not any more work than you're currently doing. It's just a little bit more focused work. And then based off of that, you can decide whether you want to share more stories of clients specifically with that thing, or even highlight aspects of their story. Like even when I asked you about, how do you pronounce your name? Afife?
Yeah.
Afife?
You got it.
When you highlighted her, you said like 6 different things about her. And that fell into what I'm calling in the next book, the bed of nails paradox, which states that when you, I mean, a famous parlor trick is to lie down on a bed of nails and then everybody is shocked. Oh my God, look at what he did. But it's actually just the basic foundation, the basic fundamentals of pressure, right? When you lie down on a bed of nails, your pressure is distributed evenly across the nails, and so nothing punctures you. Whereas a single nail is going to go straight through your foot because the pressure is focused on one thing. The bed of nails fallacy in communication is, if you try to talk about too many things, even if those things are really good and really sharp and really valuable, none of them are going to be impactful. You've got to focus on one thing, at least one thing at a time.
I think that's definitely part of my problem too, because I think one of my superpowers is educating and like just, you know, teaching people about things regarding pain. And sometimes I take it too far where I'm just going so deep into something and trying to squeeze something into a 30-second reel that, I'm sure a lot of it gets lost or just, it doesn't hit the way that I expect it to, knowing that how valuable, at least I perceive the information to be.
I mean, this story about Afife, how do you pronounce her name? Afife? Afife. The story about her, there were so many nuggets in there that were great. Like, she goes to Costco and she likes to carry the groceries. That's fucking fan. I love that. That means something to me. But that was like the 4th thing that you said about her story. And the other 3, I don't even remember what they were, but they're probably just as good. And so to me, this could be 4 different videos, 5 to 6, 7, 8. You know, like, you're talking social media here, man. It's the shorter, the better. You can't do more than one thing. And so when you're doing this, just keep going back to that bed of nails fallacy. You know, one nail. And what you will probably find is that there will be one nail that will be much more intense and hit harder than the others, and it'll be pretty immediately obvious, or at least 1 or 2 things that you can explore. And also just like that kind of feel right to you. And I tell this from the heart because I fall prey to this too. All of my frustrations around my day, when I'm having a bad day, is because I'm trying to do too much, not too little. I'm trying to say too much. I'm trying to to squeeze too many things that I think are valuable into one container versus saying this is the right container for me at this moment. And then sticking to that and being okay with that. And the other stuff could just be stuff that you really enjoy in your personal life and you don't need to share on the internet, which is also, or just something that you do with your clients that they have success with, right? So what are your next steps?
I think the biggest one is just to focus on the messaging a lot better in terms of not trying to do too much, and test a couple things, do a bit of trial and error to see what types of points, what types of hooks and messages really resonate with people, whether it's client stories or my own story or just some sort of teaching, but being a lot more focused with it, like focusing on one thing at a time and not diluting the message too much, and seeing what hits most and then following the trail from there.
And then the final piece of it is, as you're doing that, what's really important is to not look at superficial engagement metrics as determinants of success, because there's a distinct goal misalignment between you and social media. Your goal is to spend as little time on social media as possible and grow your business. Social media's goal is to get you to stay on social media for as long as possible, and they don't give a shit about your business. And so the insights and the data and the engagement metrics and what they reward largely aligns with their goals, which is misaligned with your goals. So that's why I say invite people to have a conversation with you, because that's the metric that matters. How many people actually put their hand up and say that they want to talk to you versus how many likes does your video get. I think there's a time and place for doing content that's going to get a lot of likes because, you need eyeballs on your thing. But that's not the engagement that you need to look at as a determinant of success of a piece of content, particularly a piece of content that's meant to actually get you clients.
Makes sense.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Stephen. Appreciate this, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, it's John back again, and I hope that you enjoyed that. The bed of nails fallacy is actually something that I have not yet spoken about, but something that I write about in the Obvious Choice book that's coming out January 2025. And I thought it was a really important point to mention at that time in that conversation with Stephen. So there you go. You get a little bit of a preview. If you are looking for another episode to listen to right now, I'm going to recommend you check out episode 60. It's called The One About Content. That's the one that goes really, really deep into content generation, to what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, based off of what you want to achieve, not what the algorithm wants you to achieve. And just so you know also, this was a hot seat call from the Online Trainer Mentorship. This is my highest level program. It is for fitness, nutrition coaches, influencers, gym owners who already make at least $1,000 a month online and are looking to scale up. So if that's you want to have a chat about potentially joining us, please go to my Instagram at It's Coach Goodman, or you can go to the Online Trainer Mentorship's Instagram at Online Trainer Mentorship. Send a DM that says mentor. We'll have a chat.